Welcome back. It's eLive Unplugged on your entertainment choice, CVM Television. We're catching up with the Weakness for Sweetness singer, Richie Stephens. Richie, tell us about your career after leaving Westmoreland and coming into Kingston.
When I reached the age of 15 going on to 16, I started to really love music and quickly realized that in order to survive in music, Kingston is where all the studios are. Kingston is where all the artists are. It's not like now where you have in every parish there's a studio in a house or whatever the building is, there's a studio there where you'll get the opportunity to voice a song. Back in those days, all the few studios were here in Kingston. So as an ambitious youngster, I wanted to be where the happening is at. I wanted to be where Gregory Isaac and Dennis Brown and John Holt and Barry Salmon and all them great people are there. So I started telling my mother I wanted to go and visit my father. And that was my way of getting into the big city to try and meet all of these great people to see how I could get into the music business. And I never stopped. It took my mother a couple of years to make that decision to say, all right, you can go. So I came to Kingston with a friend who was always coming to Kingston on the weekend, and I hooked up with my father, and that is how I really got one foot in.
So tell us about your first song.
Well, my first song, I recorded it while I was in Montego Bay. Because when I came to Kingston, actually it wasn't even Kingston Street. I came to Kingston and spent just 3 weeks, but my father was living in Spanish Town. So while I was there in Spanish Town with my father, I was introduced to a band that was playing in Ocherous 6 nights a week, a band called Rockers International. And I went there and became the lead singer of the band. That band that used to be at Grove, which is Carl Young.
Carl Young.
So one of my first jobs was with the great Carl Young.
Then you just went there and became the lead singer of the band?
Well, to be honest with you, I used to be a very humble, shy kid growing up. But one thing for sure, the minute I opened my mouth, people got interested. So I went there and I did an audition. And I remember singing some Dennis Brown and which are the other artists? Barry Salmon. I sing some Dennis Brown and Barry Salmon. And when I look outside, I see one crowd gather around. And I never realized that all these people were gathering around to hear me sing as a youngster. And then after that, I start doing some Lionel Richie and Luther Vandross, and it's like people now leave from outside and come into the rehearsal room because people are saying, no, sir, another little boy at the end there sing. I never forget, those memories are so precious. And then the band leaders look at me and say, this is your job in a bridge. You don't need to even sing another note. It's your job. And that was the end of the audition, and they took me to meet Carl Young. I said, Carl Young, this is the new singer that we're going to work with, blah, 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 and the rest is history.
And Carl Young, of course, is Ira FM.
Carl Young said, you can't sing? Sing me here then. You know Carl Young still.
Absolutely.
Oh, God rest him soul.
Yes. How long were you with Rockers?
I stayed there for about a year and a half. And after that, another band that was working, Wrights Brothers, that was working at Jamaica at the time. The hotel used to name in Runaway Bay. They heard about me. They came to me with an offer that I couldn't refuse. And I went to work with them. And after Wrights Brothers, another band came, because that was the nature of the North Coast. When people hear about you, if they think you're good enough, they come and they make you an offer. And then I went to sing with Elements Band in Montego Bay at Sandals. And after doing about 7-8 years on the North Coast, I decided that, hey, it's time enough to go to something else, because I didn't want to stall on the North Coast singing as a lead singer in a band for all these years, because I've seen many singers before me who stayed there till they got old and you know, nothing happened career-wise. So it become like a 9 to 5. I didn't want that. So I decided to move on. So I met a producer called Top Ranking. And he invited me to Kingston. I went to Dynamic Sound and, you know, play me some rhythms and I sing a song, say, better get out of town before I string up my sound. You must be foolish to come try. That was the first main hit. That song turned out to be a big hit for me during that time. Such a big hit that I could be able to leave the North Coast and just come to Kingston to live now, full time, and start, you know, doing my musical career now and doing big things and start touring and start move up and down.
Which producer were you working with at that time?
Top Ranking. And naturally, I have a hit song now. All the producers hear about you. So people like Dennis Starr, people like Jermaine, and all the established producers now start, you know, ask me to voice on their rhythm. So during that time, I became an act that, you know, people would just invite to sing. And I met specialists who didn't even start manage Shabarangs yet. So I met him in a session and, you know, we'd have a little talk and him express interest in us doing some work together. And then I was performing in 1991. No, 1989 on Sting. Matter of fact, I wasn't booked for the show. It was Derek Barnett who called me up. And said, yo, people, you know, said, look at you to sing the song named Better Get Out of Town. Him there, you know, come up, Richie Stevens. I'm a run group and take my like 5 minutes and mash up the little place and run off. And as I run off, so a specialist me sit right at the stage. And say, come here, Virgin. And from the night that the man started managing me, you know. So he was managing me and the great Shabba Rankin. That's a two artists that started out Spec Shang. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even Spec Shang yet. It was just specialists managing me and Shabba Ranks. But after that, the camp started grow, where you have Lady Patra, Mad Cabra, Bounty Killer, them time the Bounty Killer, Little You just start, Ghost and Culture, and all these artists now start coming to the camp. Now Miss Babsy Greens got into the management as well, so it became Spec Shang. You know, we were like the Motown of Jamaican reggae music. Lots of artists start coming to the camp and, you know, we start tour all over the world and whole heap of excitement, you know, so it was great, it was great.
He's veteran reggae sensation Richard Stevenson. You know him as Richie Stevens, chatting with us on eLive Unplugged. We take our final break. You don't want to miss what occurs on the next side.